All right, welcome everybody. Hello, welcome to Talkin Investing Friday. The week is over. I am Tom. I'm here with George. Hello, George.
Hello.
How you doing?
Frustrated, Tom.
Frustrating day,
This
frustrating
is
2 days.
frustrating day, 2 days, because I can't day trade anymore. And that's my problem.
Yeah, well, we should definitely talk. George was doing some day trading, and it was going very well. And it's not that I don't even think you had a bad day. I think you just got to a point where you felt like you were outside of the day trading rhythm, and you
No,
stopped.
we are all George. Yeah, so the big thing that Bitcoin did the other day is it broke 52.5, right? So once it broke 52.5, you got to find the next level of support. Tom, would you like to tell me what the next level of support is?
Well, I will go to the 1 day first. Before I do that, pardon the interruption, but if
Like the
everybody,
stream.
yes, exactly. If everybody could please smash the like button, it does help the stream out a lot in real time. We've been going for 500 likes, so we're at 18 right now. So everybody,
Hello, everyone.
do what you
Thanks for
can.
this shout out.
We'll also wait. It usually takes about 5-10 minutes for most people to get
Yeah,
here,
it does.
but they get here because you guys smashed the like button. So I want to thank everybody in advance, and also thank you for all the likes over the last really month. We've really been focusing on trying to see what hitting the like button does to help the videos and help the live streams, and it helps both a lot. So I won't belabor it anymore, but it's much appreciated. We are here for you guys, and you guys are here for us when you hit the like button.
So we're here for each other.
We're all here. It's our time.
No, but I think this weekend is the perfect setup, Tom, for it to run.
So I'm gonna go to your question, like where's the next line?
Where is the next line,
You know
Tom?
what?
You're better at these lines drawing
I
than I
gotta
am.
zoom out. I'm gonna zoom out to the 1 week. I got lines all over the place, but you will notice really the last line I have is this purple line just under 52,000. This goes back, we candle wicked up to this. This goes all the way back to December of 2021. We candle wicked up to this line a couple of times. I don't think this is even a very strong line. I believe once we broke out, and you can see on the 1 week, look, this is exactly how this stuff happens. I know for as much as, you got to look at a million things and know one indicator. And we've even taken a closer look at some indicators that have broken down a little bit over time. And sometimes that can happen when momentum takes over or other things. You got to be careful of which indicators you're looking at and trying to look at as many as you can. Having said all that, we've been looking at this green line at about 48,240 for a couple of years. This goes back to March 28th, 2022. So you can see this 1 week candle, we closed this candle at 48,316. So we closed some daily candles above this. We closed the weekly candle above this. And now this is just 1 week later. Look what's happened. We've gone straight to this next line, which, by the way, for all intents and purposes, is really my last line. I have no more lines. We'll look at some other indicators that might show some modest resistance along the way. But, this is getting tougher and tougher. There was a lot of easy spots that were potential, resistance and, then flipped
Big
into
time.
support. Right. And we ran into those, and, some of
And
them,
that's
like,
why I was killing it.
right, this $44,000 line, and our line was at 44,220. If you went to the day, you'll see we never closed a weekly above this. As soon as we closed above this one, we ran straight to the next one. As soon as we closed above this one, we ran straight. 1 week. And this is what can happen. Later in the stream, I'm going to go back to 2020 because, some of you guys may remember, but I'll have to tell you, I was there trading during that, and, those were great times. But But even when I went back and looked myself, I was still surprised, even though I lived through it. It's just unbelievable how fast these moves can happen and how big they can be, and
Violent.
and this setup is starting to feel like October, November, December of
Yep.
2020, and we're early, right? Because that was 6 months, 4, 5, 6 months after the halving. We're still a couple of months before the halving, but I think, with the ETFs and several other factors, we may be ahead of schedule. So I'm going to give my normal disclaimer that people are sick of hearing, but don't, at any given point, cryptocurrency can always, a 20% pullback is a drop in the bucket for Bitcoin and all cryptocurrencies. So at some point, even though I think the next leg is still up, I will never be surprised if we have somewhere, a 10 or 20% pullback. Sometimes it can even be a little worse than that. Even in the middle of giant bull runs, we get these moments, where we just move to the downside in a big way. They terrify people. I really feel like so many retail investors get destroyed. And I do want to spend a little bit of time later in the stream looking at, from October of 2020 to October of 2021. The way you played Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners, some people got rich, some people lost all their money. And, and a little bit of it was just, could you zoom out and bear with, there were several, 40 or 50% pullbacks in that period of time. And that's just brutal. I mean, we all know, like, we can talk about it and say, well, diamond hands and all that stuff, but 3 weeks into a 50% pullback, and not everybody's just as confident as they were, let's say, for instance, over the last few weeks when we've just been running like the wind. So these are the easy times. They can be the good times. For those of you taking profit, we will always say congratulations. If that's your strategy, if that's your plan, and you're taking profits in these massive moves to the upside, congratulations. If you're a dollar cost average buy and hold and you're sticking to that plan, then to us, the biggest thing is, you have your own plan. And if you're sticking to it,
if you're sticking to that plan, just realize you might miss it. And that's me saying that.
Well, what? Be more specific, because I know what you're worried about. Tell the people what you're worried about.
I'm worried about going to bed and waking up and Bitcoin's 55,000.
So
that's what I envision happening.
So you're worried about
thinking this long weekend is probably the best time to do it. I mean, who knows? No one actually knows what's going to happen tomorrow with Bitcoin. None of this is financial advice. This is Tom and George coming up what we think is going to happen.
And that's the best any of us can do. I mean, and we got for those, a lot of you I see. Thank you to all the members. I see a lot of members. Sour Melon Gaming said, Tom, what's your opinion on Iris? We'll definitely talk about Iris, which we're not allowed to call Iris anymore. Now it's now Iron. And we'll talk about that later too.
What the hell? What are you, stupid?
I didn't. It's not me. I'll show you. That's what they've done. So we'll definitely talk about that. Thanks for mentioning that. What George is worried about, if you have the strategy of a day trader or so many people that, feel like, I'm going to wait for the pullback. I'm going to stay out. I'm going to get on the sidelines. I'm going to wait for the pullback, and then I'll get my money in and, take the run up. Well, at this point, I think George is definitely feeling like, because George has done a lot of getting in and out very successfully, but now he's to the point, and again, not financial advice, this is just what George is doing. And there's a lot of different ways to make money here. But at this point, I think George is saying the percent likelihood, if you're sitting on the sidelines, the percent likelihood that you're going to miss the run up is increasing with each passing day. Now, if we get a 20% pullback and you guessed right, then so be it. But at this point, the risk reward on that is changing, with each day we get closer to the halving. And at some point, for for those of you who are, probably most of you here are Bitcoin people to some extent, and a lot of a lot of interest in the Bitcoin miners. Most of you probably know the 4-year cycle and understand that if history repeats itself, and each one of these cycles has been a little different. I think the last cycle was the anomaly. I'm looking more at the one before that. This one seems to be following that 2016 cycle, in my opinion, a lot more closely. And, remember, the 2020 halving happened in the middle of, a black swan event. March, it was in May of 2020. In March of 2020, the world shut down. And, so everything got a little bit skewed to the downside, to the upside. So that pattern I'm ignoring to a certain extent. But even that one, it was similar to the other, 4-year cycles. But this one looks more like the one before that. I think there's more room to the upside than most other people think. I'm probably more bullish than the average Bitcoin enthusiast as to what our high is going to be in this 4-year cycle. And I still think we're a year to a year and a half away from that, maybe a little less. And typically in years past, we still could be as much as a year and a half away from the high. That may be accelerated at this point. We'll get some polls out and ask you guys some more about that later.
Just so you know, I'm going out on a limb, but I'm expecting during this stream to hit a new all-time high for the last basically year.
Right now.
Going out on a limb. Going out on a limb.
All right, let's see.
Going out on a limb.
So where
I'm only 8% off, by the way, from my high, which was obviously this week.
It looks like
that's not that big of a deal.
No, in dollars, yes, but as a percent, that could be less than 1 day of.
Oh, absolutely.
In fact, we've had many days lately where that was less than 1 day.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what comes next.
It's so predictable what is happening now in the stock market with Bitcoin. It's just the next move, that next move from, 52.5 to whatever is the one that if you miss it, it's over with. You know what I mean? Because I think it could be one of two things. We could go on and keep going up until after the halving, or we could, get that full moon and get a little retrace.
Whether it's the full moon or whatever the case may be, I will always tell you I think we're going to continue to run up. But I don't think, I always say, despite evidence to the contrary, I mean, this is almost a little bit of I always say things don't go up in a straight line. For the short term here, Bitcoin's proving me wrong. But ultimately...
Did you lose me again?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh, no. Not again.
George might have to jump in and out. We can hear him. I don't think he can hear us. We've had some technical difficulties on the last couple of streams. I may text
I'm back.
You're back. All right.
It's me this time, by the way.
Yeah, we could hear you the whole time, but so if you can't hear us...
You heard me, not again. Oh, by the way, it is false confidence, but the fundamentals haven't changed. And what was it, 83% of the wallets that have 10 or more Bitcoin haven't sold? In how many years, Tom?
I don't know. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's not 20 years.
No, but it's a ton.
A ton of years.
Yeah.
Yes.
A ton of years.
Yeah, there's a lot of wallets, and a lot of the big wallets, they're not going anywhere. And you got to think, if somebody's waited, even if somebody's waited more than 6 months, are they going to sell right now before we get back to all-time highs, before the FOMO even really kicks in? I mean, how many people are going to be selling? Obviously, there's people that buy and sell every day. There's people that trade in and out of this. But for those wallets that George are talking about, for the whatever percentage it is, and it's a growing and growing percent, it's the vast majority of the larger wallets, they're not, I don't believe any of those are selling until, even when we get back to our all-time high, I don't think they're selling. They didn't wait all this. Nobody waited all this time from November of 2021 just to get right back to where they were, 3 years ago. So I think you'll see, and for the few that do, and obviously there will always be exceptions, some people will sell. Some people will take profits along the way, even if they don't empty their entire wallet. But we've got a massive buying pressure on the other end of this. We've got these Bitcoin spot ETFs, and there's whether there's, you want to say 9 or 10 or 11, really there's 4 big ones. There's 2 gigantic ones. There's 4 large ones that I think will survive and thrive over time. There's a bunch more past that we'll see what happens, but we're going to take a look at the inflows later and how much Bitcoin these companies are accumulating. And it's starting to be significant numbers, particularly BlackRock and Fidelity are getting, their total position is, and I don't know that that's really the right word for an ETF, but the number of Bitcoin that they have is significant, and it will continue to grow. But BlackRock's got over 100,000 Bitcoin already. We're just 1 month into this. So I'm going to reiterate something that, I think everybody thought I was nuts when I originally said this. I think that in the first 12 months of the Bitcoin ETFs, they are going to reach $100 million. I'm sorry. Yeah, 100 million. $100 billion in Bitcoin held, in my opinion, in the first 12 months. And that $100 billion, if that happens, and some amount is going to happen, and maybe we can do a poll later. Is it going to be 30, 50, 80, 100? That's going to have a profound effect on the supply-demand equation here for Bitcoin, right? Because each time they buy these Bitcoin, it's basically, those Bitcoins aren't coming back on the market. These ETFs are going to grow for some time, in my opinion, especially the big 4, probably have years ahead, right? Between BlackRock, Fidelity in particular, if you got 9 trillion and 5 trillion assets under management, most of their own customers haven't even started to put their first penny into these ETFs. So, the buying pressure is going to continue. Now, we do have the grayscale on the other side with some sell pressure, but we'll look at those numbers. Those are diminishing. That's getting less and less and less. The big sell pressure, and it was right here. We peaked. This was the day the spot ETFs first traded. This is the day they got approved. This is the day they traded. We had a quick run to the upside and then a 20% pullback, from here to here. And in these days, Grayscale was trading out. They were selling, on the average, somewhere around $500 million of Bitcoin a day. Well, that's over. It's now anywhere from 10 to 20% of that number. So, that number's dropped by 80 or 90%. And that little amount of sell pressure left, even if it lasts for the next 6 months, I don't think it's a fraction of the buying pressure from the rest of them.
Ooh.
What do we got on our poll?
Oh, so somebody asked me about my return on CleanSpark, and I'm 263% up altogether.
Nice.
So that's buying, selling. That's buying it, selling it, buying back in, and selling it. Buying, selling, selling, buying, selling, selling. Bye.
Yeah, you've done more than your share of trading.
Now I'm stuck in it. But here's the problem. Now I'm stuck. I'm stuck, Tom, because people don't realize what a crucial spot we are in Bitcoin land.
So if I'm reading between the lines, you think sooner than later the next big move is up.
Yes. Everybody's saying it's coming back down. And cryptos probably like, George, I can't believe you're saying this. But it's just at this point, at the 52.5 range, Tom, you can't be going against Bitcoin right at the moment. You just can't.
In the poll, so we've got to feel free to vote in the poll. It is free. The next move for Bitcoin in the next week, 45%, which is there's out of the 4 choices, that's winning by far. think we're going somewhere between where we are right now, 52 to 55,000. So that would be the next move being up, even $3,000 moves. That's still a big move, right? It's not a runaway freight train, but that's a big move to the upside. And then what's going to, the question is going to become, can we create a new strong line of support somewhere and then start to work our way towards the all-time high? So the next poll, if you don't mind, George, whenever you want.
Yeah.
I think we should ask
I'll be
people.
closing this poll in a few minutes.
I think we should ask, is Bitcoin going to get to the all-time high prior to the halving?
Okay.
And, everybody's best guesses were maybe 2 months away from the halving.
Would you go on a date with Tom?
It's not.
That's the next poll?
No, that is not the next poll. That's a no-go. While George is talking about that, feel free to smash the like button. We're at 71 likes. We're going for 500 likes.
So
we've been getting 500 likes. It helps the stream in real time. It's super important. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And if there are any bears out there right now, please tell me why, because I want to be a bear. Trust me. I don't want to be a bull. I want to be a bear.
Somebody make the bear case for George. I'll make while anybody else may be putting that together, I'll make a simple bear case, and it's totally anecdotal, but right now, all of the people that I follow, and I went a long period of time without watching much YouTube, but I've really been trying to get my pulse on, what the sentiment is out there. And so I try to watch, everybody would be a misstatement, but there's a lot of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin focused channels that have anywhere from 200,000 to 1 million subscribers. And I've been trying to keep my eye on them. And I will say, for the first time and as long as I can possibly remember, they're all very bullish. So if you want a bear case scenario, that would be my bear case scenario. Every time we get consensus on something, when everybody thinks one thing's going to happen, so many times it's the opposite. I'm in that camp. I'm very bullish right now. I will admit it. I'm bullish. I think the next move is to the upside. I will always give you the caveat that at any time in the short term, a 20% pullback. I mean, we just had one, and it was quick, right? This was a month ago, just in a 2-week period, right? From January 11th to January 23rd, less than 2 weeks, we pulled back almost 22%. So this is what I'm saying. At any time, we could have that. But did that stop the bullish momentum we're now 14 months into? No, because the very next thing we did was move up, 35%. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, there'll be, ups and downs, but I think the trend is up for the next long time.
Well, and you guys, I'm seeing your response on CleanSpark. You did better than me. So I see one was 475% in CleanSpark, and then somebody was 300. Darren was 300, and who was that other person? Sorry, was it Connie? Connie was 475.
475%
on CleanSpark, yeah. That's awesome,
fantastic.
By the way. That's just great.
Congratulations.
I just get so nervous when I see it going down and down and down. It seems to go up so much slower. So then I sell and buy, and I missed on Friday. I missed that. So I went fishing last Friday, and that trip probably cost me 6 figures. I'm not gonna lie.
But it was quality time with the wife and kids.
But
you can't put a price tag on that.
I got a 7-pound fish, and I didn't realize that's like a mountable fish. I didn't know that. I was just like, yeah, I caught a 7-pound fish.
Was it really a 7-pound fish, or is this a fish story?
Edmund coming in with the funnies. Oh, I started it, Tom, for you already. Sorry ahead of time.
Oh,
so
boy.
Tell me about this Iris changing their name.
Let's just take a quick look. This press release came out yesterday after the market closed. Iris Energy reports second quarter and half year fiscal year 2024 earnings. I want to show you a bunch of stuff about this because Iris did have a very rough day. It had, I think, the worst day out of all the Bitcoin miners, certainly out of all the larger Bitcoin miners. And there was I believe, a pretty specific reason. It made sense to me. I thought it was a decent report. I thought it was a good report, but I'll tell you, there was one specific reason why this went down. But in the meantime, rebrand from Iris. Pardon me, excuse me.
Oh, bless you.
Pardon the interruption. Rebrand from Iris Energy to Iron. But here's the part that's confusing to me. So somebody explain, if anybody can explain this. Iris Energy is excited to announce our official name change to Iron. Okay, fine. I mean, that's their stock ticker. Comma, a decision which better reflects our expanding next generation data center business. So does this mean something that I don't know about? Is Iron something that reflects data centers? Because maybe that's something in Australia that translates in a way that's very different than it does. I happen to be in the United States, and to me, I don't know why Iron better reflects their expanding next generation data center business. And then they go on to say, same business, same goals, different name.
You know what? Here's what's really sad about all this. And you guys flexing on me, especially you, Dave. You're killing me. You're killing me, guys. You're killing me.
Are they?
But anyway,
they're
flexing. They're flexing on the returns of. This is awesome to see, though.
Good.
This is great.
Our all-time favorite thing. Please.
I'm telling you, this is awesome. I don't know. I don't know what that means at all. But they paid somebody money for this. That's what just gets me.
That's right. They probably paid $20 million to a marketing company to come up with this rebrand, and it's two colors and a shape. I mean, it just blows. You're right, George. These always blow my mind. Also, if you look at across all the Bitcoin miners, if you look at a lot of these logos, no offense, and I know this is meaningless, but some of these are pretty awful.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna type in Iris. What was it? Iris Energy before? What was it? Solutions? What was it?
Iris Energy.
Iris Energy. Let's go with new names, and I'm just gonna chat GPT it real quick.
Oh, you're gonna put chat? Well, I don't know if they know enough.
What do you mean? New name ideas.
See what they come up with.
Let's see. Certainly, here we go. Oh my goodness!
You would have done this for them for $2.
Yeah,
in 5 minutes. I mean, again, this is a little. I know this is not anything that is going to reflect the success or failure of this company in any way, shape, or form. I just don't understand when these press releases. I feel like they should be choosing their words in these press releases, right? I mean, this is a getting close to $1 billion market cap company.
Sauer, I'm asking that. Why do you think everybody hated on it so much and it went down today?
Okay, so I will show you what the answer to that question is, in my humble opinion. All right, so they put out a press release on December 21st. 10 exahash equity raising program complete. So they go on to say, let's find it.
I don't know if I like this Connie girl, by the way.
What do you mean?
She's picking on me.
Having now, so on December 21st, Iris Energy said, having now completed a targeted equity raise program, the company does not anticipate requiring additional capital to fund the expansion to 10 exahash. So that was on December 21st. So I think what investors were expecting was in the period ended December 31st, there would be a portion of stock dilution because they told us they were going to do stock dilution. They told us they were going to buy these machines, right? They bought 4.6 exahash worth of machines, and they told us they raised the money, and then they said they were done. So that was step one. But here's what happened. If you go to footnote 19, events after the reporting period, ATM facility, which is their at-the-market facility that they have open to issue, shares of stock from time to time at a time of their choosing, is the standard language in that. So in other words, whenever they feel like it. Subsequent to December 31st, the company issued a further 19.6 million shares for a total gross proceeds of $92 million. So I put together a little quick spreadsheet. The last time they reported was June 30th, 2023. They had 64.7 million shares. As of December 31st, which is the period they just reported in, that went up to 82.4 million shares. So like I said, they told us they were going to do dilution. I think everybody expected this. That met expectations. You can get that number in footnote 13. So, but then after the end of the year, so from January 1st to, yesterday, and I said the 16th, but really that's through the 15th and probably the 14th, they issued another almost 20 million shares. They issued more shares after they said they were done than they did to do, raise the money to buy all the machines that they raised. So that was almost 24% additional stock dilution after the end of the year, after the reporting period, in the last 45 days. So I think this was a little bit unexpected. Now, I'll show you some, some of this is sitting right on their balance sheet. They got the biggest cash position they've ever had. So I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing. I just think it's the reason the stock pulled back today. Because there's so many more shares, you'll see at $6.81, this basically puts them at about a $700 million company. And I will tell you, for a long time, and I tried to caution people on the live streams and in videos, if you looked around the internet, if you looked at Yahoo or any other of these websites, the market cap was being reported somewhere around $250 million. So a lot of people were looking and going, man, this thing's a $250 million market cap company. Why, it should triple just to catch up to Bitfarms, for instance. But what people didn't realize is it's not a $250 million. It's not a $456 million. It's just under a $700 million market cap company. Now, I actually think that's probably pretty appropriate. So I'm not saying it's overvalued or any of those things. I'm just saying, and very often, I did not do this today, but very often I'll use these as an opportunity because I think, if the company's doing the right thing with their money, a lot of times this is a buy the dip, situation. So while I did not do that today, that's a pretty common strategy for me personally. And this is why you'll see if we go down the list, most of the Bitcoin miners, now listen, BitDeer was down 7.5%. BitDeer, you might as well throw a dart at a board from my perspective. I can't even begin to guess. So many days, all the Bitcoin miners do one thing and BitDeer does another. So I don't know what's going on there. BitDeer notwithstanding, most of the Bitcoin miners were somewhere around zero. CleanSpark was up 3.6%. Bitfarm was up 3.7%. But you had Iris Energy down 12% and Cypher down 10%. And I really did not dig into that. So drop in the comments. Not sure why Cypher got beat up today, and we'll take a look at their chart. So I don't think it's that people didn't like the earnings report. I think they were pretty much as expected. The one whammy was all that stock dilution.
I'm just laughing. You guys are making me laugh, just so you guys know. I'm dying over here. It's so hard when Tom's being serious and I start laughing. Sorry, Tom.
That's all right.
I got yelled at the other day for that, just so you guys know. So I've got to be more serious.
Not by me, you didn't.
Oh, okay. Now he's lying.
Oh.
I'm joking. He didn't say anything. I'm joking.
How dare you? Now I will.
No, Kevin said if the owner approved that logo, I can't trust his judgment. Miner Doc brought up a very interesting point, and that is Iris is no different than CleanSpark. They are building out 20 exahash plus AI expansion.
Well, here's the difference between Iris and CleanSpark. Iris has plans on the drawing board to do what CleanSpark's already done. Right? Iris is working their way up. If we look, let's take a look. Let's just take a look. So, and by the way, right, Iris has plans they have plans. If you line up exahash to exahash, CleanSpark's going to be somewhere between 75 and 100% larger than Iris for a significant period of time. And I don't know that Iris will ever catch them. I did say on the stream the other day, there's 5 companies that have big growth plans, and Iris is one of them. But if you line them up next to CleanSpark's existing growth, they're not even going to be. It could take them the rest of the year to get to where CleanSpark is right now. In fact, I'd say they probably won't get to where CleanSpark is right now by the end of this year. Maybe they will. If they do, it'll probably be in the 4th quarter of the year. So again, not a knock against Iris. They have big growth plans. I think they will execute them. They were at 5.6. They put together a strategy to get to 10. Let's see. So our Bitcoin mining hash rate is on track to reach 10. So just as a brief aside, this press release came out today. CleanSpark exceeds 14 exahash. So while Iris is on track to ultimately get to 10, CleanSpark's already at 14. So I think you're going to see CleanSpark's probably somewhere around double. Let's see if they... Trying to see if they say how much their existing exahash is right now. But they do have plans to get from 5.6 to 10 exahash, right? But CleanSpark's already, this is their plans, and CleanSpark's already at 14. And CleanSpark's, by the way, CleanSpark's going to be at 20 in a few months if they stay on plan. So 2 good companies, both have big growth plans, but they are not the same. And nor are they the same market cap. So, I think they're priced accordingly as well. And on top of that, let's just look at one more thing, because I think this is... So in January, CleanSpark mined 577 Bitcoin. Iris mined 341. So, they're not really close. That's a pretty dramatic difference. And, I expect that spread to stay for a little while. Again, none of this is a knock against Iris Energy. I just, every company has a different... To me, Marathon, Core Scientific is big, but their growth plans are very small from here forward. Now, they may announce more in the future. We'll see. The companies that have made announcements, Marathon, CleanSpark, and Riot, have all shown us their path to 50 exahash. So now those, allegedly will be potentially by the end of 2025. So even some of that is a little pie in the sky. Marathon's already, somewhere in the neighborhood of 30. CleanSpark will be at 20 very soon. And Riot is about to put a bunch online and get up to about 20 as well. So we're going to have to keep our eye on these. A lot of this is going to be execution. It's great that a lot of companies have plans. They have purchase orders. They've paid for these machines. Some of them are already being delivered. But that's why I go through these monthly updates. And I am going to go through all these and put out a video this weekend for all of everything that happened in the month of January. So Papa D, thanks for the super chat. What about any stock? Should I load up? Well, that would be your decision 100%. I don't own any. In my, Any does have a decent balance sheet. They're a very small company. They have a very small amount of exahash. And so for me, I'm just worried, not necessarily, there's a handful of companies, I don't think they're going out of business. I just don't know that they have the amount of exahash set up to keep up. They're nowhere near keeping up with 2 things. You've got to keep up with the difficulty level. So, if you're not growing, you're falling behind the difficulty level. We're going to look at that. It just had another massive adjustment to the upside. That's 2 in a row. So a lot of companies are falling behind the difficulty level, and that is going to get greatly exacerbated in 2 months when the reward gets cut in half. So, if you're not keeping up with that curve, then you're not staying the same. You may be increasing in exahash and really effectively shrinking as a company. So that's just something to keep your eye on with all these Bitcoin miners. And that doesn't mean they're going out of business or any of those things. And And you may still feel like, well, they're still so underpriced that, maybe they'll take a big run. Because some of these are still, nano cap type stocks.
I got one for you, Tom. You guys want to laugh?
Ennie's market cap, sorry, George, I'll just finish this thought. Ennie's market cap, according to Yahoo, is $32 million right now. So that is a nano cap stock. There's a lot of room to run if they run. Go ahead, George. What do you got? What do you got for us?
I was bored and I bought a ton of Shiba.
Oh, you're in that club now.
I bought a ton of Shiba.
Are you kidding me?
I bought 1 billion tokens of Shiba. I am going to be rich if it goes to a penny, Tom.
If it goes to, how about what if it runs to $1?
$1? Can you imagine? I really did buy it though.
You bought. Hold on.
I really did buy it. Yeah.
Let's go to the chart here. Oh man, you didn't buy Doge. Doge is number 10.
No, I didn't. Well, I have Doge, but I didn't buy any more Doge.
I haven't even gotten to Shiba yet. Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Shiba is down at 18. Just about $5.8 billion market cap. When you say a ton, I hope you mean a little.
Right, I bought a 1 billion tokens. That's like $10. No, I spent a little bit higher than that, but I'm expecting a little bit of a pump in it. Pumpity pump.
You just feeling it? You just playing?
Yeah, I'm just bored.
You got 3 days where you can't trade the equities. So it didn't take you long to move on to the next thing.
That's kind of why I did it. It's like, I got to have something.
You made it less than 1 hour after the market closed, and you moved on to...
No, I bought this last night. I bought it last night.
Oh, you bought this last night?
Yeah, I bought it last night. Why, George? Why? No, I've been buying... Oh, I should buy COQ? INU. I don't even know what that is. I just keep buying different things and messing around with them.
So the CPI report was no good this week. The PPI report today was I'm saying no good. I don't think those are as big a deal as a lot of other people weigh those. And a part of this is we're a couple of years into, we just had historic rate hikes. There's only been a couple of times in history that we've had rate hikes. This may have been the steepest, fastest rate hikes in history. If it wasn't, it was in second place. So all eyes have been on two things: the Fed meeting, Jerome Powell, talking after the meeting, and CPI data. And then to a lesser extent, there's several other economic indicators in the U.S., one of which is PPI, which is another form of inflation, way to track inflation. And they've been missing expectations. So there's a consensus, and then the market reads that and says, okay, we expect this, with CPI, they expected 2.9%. It came in at, I think, 3.1. And, everybody panicked. The market sold off. The Russell was down 4%. It was, And I think those were overreactions. And then the next day was a big, giant green day. Now, we didn't get all of that back. And again today. But we are eroding. If you look at, this is the Fed Watch tool. So this is what the Fed futures are pricing in as to, potential rate cuts. So this is the May meeting. We've given up on the March meeting. At one point, it was priced in that we were almost certainly going to have a rate cut in March. That's off the table now. I'll take a quick look at it, but you'll see that's down to 10% chance. So, but the thing is, the May meeting keeps reducing. So a month ago, the market had priced in only a 2.5% chance that we wouldn't have a rate cut. By the way, 2 days ago, so 1 month and 2 days ago, that was at 0%. So now that's gone from 0% to almost, 64% chance that we won't get a rate cut. And just yesterday, before the PPI that was at 61.5%. So it popped up even a little bit more today. A week ago, before CPI, that was at 39%. So people continue to get less and less optimistic about rate cuts coming sooner than later. I do think they are on the way. I don't know when. You know, I thought, and I still think we'll get one by May, but you don't know. We'll see what data comes out between now and then. But there's a lot of other variables than just simply the CPI data, PPI data, you know, the jobs report, unemployment, all those things weigh on that. But there's some other, you know, macroeconomic things. There's implications on housing that's dramatic, commercial real estate that's dramatic, car sales, it's big time. And then, you know, of course, there's the regional banking situation that is looming out there. And, you know, so the Fed has a little cover for now, but as soon as one of those things start to become a bigger concern, I think you're going to start to see these rate cuts come into effect. That's my opinion. Time will tell. If everybody could please smash the like button. If you are just arriving here, if you have not yet smashed the like button, it does help the channel out a lot. It helps the stream out a lot in real time. This was a little bit of a tougher week. We've had a couple of really good weeks with Bitcoin. This week was a little bit more difficult. And the last couple of days were a little bit sideways. And I do think that people start to panic. When we have so many good days in a row, even 1 or 2 days of sideways action, I think the retail investors start to panic. I haven't seen that flow through. Like I said, most of the, you know, people making YouTube video, the larger YouTube channels are still extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I am very bullish on Bitcoin in the year 2024. I'm very bullish on Bitcoin between now and the halving. My answer, I don't know where that poll ended up. It was looking like, so call it 60-40. Will Bitcoin hit its all-time high before the halving? 60% of you think yes. I agree with that 60%. And it's worth noting that's never happened before. So if we hit our all-time high before the halving, that will be the first time in the history of Bitcoin. And I think that it makes sense, right? That's not a random occurring event. Let's go take a look at. So here's the ETFs. This is what's going on with the ETFs. BlackRock, and this is through yesterday. So if you look at the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, these have all been some of the best days since these started. The only day that was better than these was the first day. So you've seen big inflows. 400 million, 540 million, 490, 630 million. Our small day was 339 million, which would have been like the third best day ever a week ago. And then yesterday, $477 million. You've got BlackRock with $6 billion, right, of assets. And obviously 100% of those assets are Bitcoin.
Did you say 6 billion?
$6 billion. The BlackRock Bitcoin ETF
I was going to say,
is at $6 billion. Fidelity's is over $4 billion. Bitwise is over $1 billion. ARK is over $1 billion. I mean, these are giant numbers. Even net of $6.8 billion flowing out of the Grayscale Trust. They've sold over 150,000 Bitcoin. There's still, you know, $4.5 billion of net inflow, net of this 6.8 going out. So this has created massive buying pressure, and you'll see these red days here, just after the first few days, there was like a week or a week and a half of red. That really corresponds to, that's this period right here, right? We had this downward move, and there was some short-term sell pressure right out of the box. But since then, you'll see this goes right along with this, somewhere around, call it January 25th, January 26th. So if we go to this chart, by January 20, so that January 25th was the last red day. So January 26th, it flipped, and then there was a couple of weeks sideways. In this last week and a half, the inflow has been dramatic, and you can see we've had a big breakout. I think there's more to come. So will there be a pullback? Maybe, but this is creating massive buying pressure. And these are big, big, big numbers. I mean, $6 billion in the first month.
Killing me. Thank you. I'm getting chocolate, Tom.
Oh, that's my all-time favorite thing.
Those Cadbury eggs,
You're killing me now. So let's spend a minute. Go ahead.
As you go into spending a minute, 8/21/17 was the last time there was eclipse. So that's when I
21 2017.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's when. So what is it? April 9th is when our next eclipse. That's when I think it's gonna be a little bit of a rocky road.
So what you think that expand?
I think that we'll have a little bit of a drop on that day.
Oh, you think that's going to be a sell-off?
Yeah.
The eclipse.
No sun. Have some fun with it.
All right. Well, we've seen a lot of people show the chart with the moon cycle, and there was a period of time where that was really lining up. We haven't looked at that in a long, long time, but I know you keep your eye on that. Anyway, Cleanspark is now over 14 exahash. This was a part of what they told us they were going to do. In fact, they were supposed to be at 16 exahash by now. So they did have a little bit, they are a little bit off of where they thought they would be. However, this is still extremely impressive. They entered the year at 10 exahash, and by middle of February, they're at 14. And they still have plans to get to 20, I think, in the first half of 2024. So that's a 10 to 20 is a double in the first half of 2024. That's keeping up with the network, which we should go. That's where I was going to go take a look at. Yesterday, we had another adjustment. So the last Bitcoin adjustment was plus 7.33%. And if you thought that was bad, yesterday, plus 8.24%. And remember, these are compounding. So, the difficulty level is now at 81.7 trillion compared to a year ago. If I scroll down, right on January 1st, 2023, so that was 13 and a half months ago, this was 34 trillion. So 70 trillion would be a double. We're at 81.7 trillion. So anybody that hasn't, increased their exahash more than double hasn't kept up with the difficulty level over the last 13 months. And they're about to get another doubling effect at the halving. So, that means that in a 15, 16, 17 month window, you will have needed to, quadruple your exahash rate just to keep up with the network. Now, that's not totally fair because the price of Bitcoin's gone up substantially, and that's a gigantic mitigating factor. So it's not a one-to-one thing. The price of Bitcoin is a big factor in that, and then obviously there's fees that the Bitcoin miners collect with each block that's solved. So we have seen on two different occasions in 2023 the fees skyrocket. And, so in any given month, and potentially there's, an argument being made that those fees will continue to grow over time. I want to take a minute. Clive Chang, thank you very much for the super chat. Very much appreciated. Tom George, I just came across another Bitcoin miner, LM Funding America. That hasn't been discussed on your podcast yet. Do you think it's worth adding to your watch list?
Yeah, no. 8.776 million.
So it's a very small one, but I'll give it a look. Clive, and see what kind of exahash they've got going, what kind of plans they have going, but that is a nano cap stock. So the thing with these
They have 126 Bitcoin.
wow, that puts them pretty close to the top 10 Bitcoin miners in hodl position, if you can believe that. So
Really?
yeah, that's
I didn't sell any in January.
so it's worth a look. I will look at that, Clive. Thanks for pointing that out.
Miners deployed at the end of the quarter was 5,950. Approximate deployed hash rate it says 615.
So
Not a hash.
0.6 exahash. So just a little more than a
Yeah.
half an exahash. So a very small company. We'd have to see what their balance sheet looks like. What's their plan to get from here to
How
there?
can they have that many 5,950? Huh. That seems like a lot.
Machines?
Machines. Yeah.
Well, of the if you the S19s made it easy. It was basically
Oh, so they're probably a whole bunch
10,000
of S9s.
was an exahash. No, they're the 19s.
Okay.
That's pretty much right on the math. So, I don't know that. I'll have to look and see exactly what they are, but they must be something the equivalent of the S19s.
They just bought 300 S21s.
So they've got growth plans.
Hmm.
So we'll look into that. I know there's other small caps, and we do.
They're in. Guess where they are? They're in Tampa.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have to take a closer look.
I mean, I don't know if they mine in Tampa, but that's where this came out of.
I will bet you they do not mine in Tampa. Florida is incredibly unreliable due to severe weather, rain. So it's not extreme weather, as far as like having to curtail your mining, but very unreliable place. There's no server farms in the state of Florida, basically because of the for half the year the thunderstorms make it very unreliable.
Okay, I'm sorry, but you brought this company up. The company also operates a technology-based specialized finance company that provides funding to nonprofit community associations, okay? Primarily located in Florida as well as the state of Washington, Colorado, and Illinois by funding a certain portion of the associates' rights to delinquent accounts that are selected by the association from an arising unpaid assessments. Oh, so they're scumbags.
Well, I'm not sure I know what they're even doing after hearing
the HOA. Yeah, no, this is something else that they do. The company also operates a technology-based specialized finance company that provides funding to nonprofit community associations. So they're saying that community associations, this is not even the proper terminology. They're not 501c3s.
I don't know the answer. There's a lot of uncertainty inside of that statement. They're providing financing. I'm not sure
So
how
what
that
they're
makes
doing
sense.
is these are the bastards that are going around buying these fines that are due on the people who can't afford their association fees, and then they're taking them to court and suing them.
I'd like to point out that is a interpretation George is making of that information.
Well, they're just not giving them the money for free, Tom.
Financing is not, I don't know. We'll have to take a closer look.
If they're delinquent accounts they're delinquent accounts. So, yeah, I wouldn't buy them just because of that, bastards.
Well, we know what George's opinion is on this matter. Clive asked this question, and you've gotten George's answer.
Well, yeah, but I mean, sometimes you fall behind on your association dues, right? Or sometimes they hit you for your mailbox.
How do you know?
Painted.
How do you know they're not just financing these associations so they can continue to keep the streets clean and the et cetera, while, if they're underfunded, maybe they're doing a wonderful thing. Just saying.
Yeah,
I don't
live in
know.
this thing called Earth, not. Yeah, I don't care. Right? It's like you said, back out. I agree. Back out. Back out. Sorry.
All right.
Let me rephrase it. They're a wonderful company. I
Or
think you should invest in them.
they could, for all we know, they could be a wonderful company. So the other thing, all right, so this was a couple of days ago, actually, because we've been sideways, but the crypto market is now past the $2 trillion mark. So a couple of things to look at, and I'm going to go back to this. So this is crypto.com. There's a lot of different places that compile this data. But if you look at crypto.com, at the top here, you'll see total market cap. They're tracking just under 20,000 coins. The vast majority, 99% of the market cap is in the top 100 coins. So there's another almost 20,000 past that represent an insignificant portion of this. However, there's the opportunity, as always, to make a lot of money in some of those smaller coins, because the smaller the coin, 5, 10, 20, 50, 100x, and they may still be a small coin. That's not my point. $2 billion. We got down to under $2 trillion. We got down to under 800 million. So these numbers wrong. $800 billion. So, we struggled and struggled. George and I talked about trying to get back over $1 trillion. Well, now we're over 2 trillion. And it's worth noting at the same time, Bitcoin is now over $1 trillion market cap. So Bitcoin's on the rise. So you can see what it's going to take for Bitcoin. Gold, I think, is over $12 trillion. I think we can look that up. But, so gold is still 10 or 11 or 12 times the market cap of Bitcoin. So it's got a long way to go, but let's do that poll. Who thinks? Want me to do this one, George?
Yeah, sorry, I'm in a situation with somebody. Thanks, Edmund. George makes Friday and Tuesday exciting. Thank you. Oh, and somebody was saying something about Sebastian. I think it was Danger Nuts. These nuts. I agree with Sebastian if he said that Cleanspark, Riot, and Marathon were solid companies. Meaning that they're gonna, and that information for me came from Tom, just so you know.
I mean, we've been talking about, and I think everybody agrees, those three have separated themselves from the pack to an extent. I do think there's another couple behind that with some nice growth plans that I think are going to be strong companies and great investments. But those three in particular, until further notice, those three, in my opinion, are, those are my ultra high conviction.
George, pay attention, Sean. Hey, Sean. You guys are nuts. Oh my God, keep it going, Tom. Keep it going. Has Hut come out and made an announcement that they're buying any new machines, Tom?
No, sir. Let's see what people think on this one. Real quick. Poll. When will Bitcoin pass gold in market cap? And I could look it up, but it's somewhere between 10 and 12 times the size. By 2030, that's only 6 years from now. By 2040, or is this never going to happen? I know what my answer is.
Never going to happen.
So, I think you would, if I'm roughly, Bitcoin would have to get to roughly, let's call it $650,000. And who knows what gold will do in that period of time. So obviously that number could go up or down a little, but something like that. Bitcoin would have to get to something like $650,000 to pass gold in market cap. Of course, now if gold crashes, that number would change. And if gold runs off to the races, which
How
is
could gold crash right now?
I don't think that it can crash. I don't think it can move drastically in either direction. It's been decades since it's really had a big move. The last big move gold has was when the gold ETFs came into existence. There was a big push up over the next couple of years. Not much since then. As Edmund pointed out on the last stream, or it might have been on the members only stream, gold does not keep up with inflation for the most part, and certainly not over the last couple of years.
Did you do a poll?
I did a poll. We got, yes, feel free to vote in the poll. It's free to vote. It's also free to smash the like button. So feel free to smash the like button. We have 156 likes. We're going for 500 likes. We've been getting that on our live stream, and it's been making a massive difference for the channel. So,
what is gold again? How much market cap?
You want to try and find out more precisely what the answer to that?
Yeah.
Give me a second and see if I can.
And is this stored of value gold? Like, is this the actual gold that's out there?
This is the I mean, theoretically, this is the gold. This is not the gold in the earth and all that. This is the gold that's
already mined.
Yes, mined and owned by.
But I thought like the gold, like ETFs or whatever, the gold were the multiplier.
I won't get into the intricacies of that. I disagree with that hypothesis. I know there's.
Okay. Okay. I don't want to go down that. I don't want to go down that one, but okay.
There's a lot of derivative products, but there's a lot of derivative products for everything. So, if we were to just go straight up, that notwithstanding, it looks like what I'm coming up with is somewhere just under $13 trillion. This says 12.7 trillion. So,
and we're only at 1 for Bitcoin, right?
Right. So, somewhere still, I think that 650,000 would be, well, so yeah.
And we're talking about
$650,000.
And we're talking about the Bitcoin BTC, correct?
Bitcoin.
BTC, correct?
Yes. Bitcoin.
There's a lot of derivatives of Bitcoin.
There's a lot of, when the Bitcoin futures, for instance, any options are derivatives, futures markets are derivatives. There's a lot of the market cap of derivatives is significantly larger than the market cap of underlying assets. That's true for everything except for real estate. And the market cap for real estate is, I don't even know if they would give me that. It's dwarfs everything else.
Wow.
Just did a quick search. I'm not even really getting any answers that make $326 trillion. That estimate was several years old. So you can see what I'm saying. Like, if they call it $500 trillion.
Bitcoin just said bonk, we'll flip BTC. Those were not my words.
I feel like even Team Bitcoin doesn't believe that, but there may be a lot of money to be made there. I do not do the I'm going to call it a pump and dump. Maybe it's more than that. I use the term loosely, but I don't know if there's a giant underlying use case for bonk. I don't even really want to say bonk.
Then why do you keep saying bonk?
I don't know. Hey, see, maybe they're onto something.
My niece actually works at a gold miner company in Alaska, by the way.
Oh, really?
In the mines, yeah. Well, I mean, she's like an intern, and then she's going upstairs into the office.
Barry said, BTC, correct. Getting worried George has been buying the wrong Bitcoin.
Me too. No, Tom and I have been researching this whole Craig Wright and the COPA case. So I did find the other cases, Tom.
Yeah, there's
where he lost $110 million.
There's several cases out there. The one they're in the middle of. Should we do a poll? You want to talk about this for a minute, George, and give them a little?
Well, let's see if anybody wants to talk about it.
Okay, that's fair. We'll do a. So
I ended that poll then.
And then I'll give you the rundown on how come it just disappeared from the face of the earth.
What?
That poll. Usually the results pop up in the.
Oh,
here it is. It just took a second. So when will Bitcoin pass? While you're typing that up, when will Bitcoin pass gold in market cap? That was the last poll. 72% of you think by the year 2030. 16% think by the year 2040, and 10% think it will never pass. I don't know why that doesn't add up to 100%. Must be rounding on a couple of those.
If you guys don't know what that is, this is the person who says he is Satoshi. And basically, that's all I'll really say until we get results. So vote real quick, and then we'll decide if we're going to talk about it. But at what level, Tom? What number? If it's above 50%, we're talking about it?
Yeah, if more than half the people are interested in that, then we'll talk about it.
Safe.
If
looks like you're safe. It's 68-32. So.
All right. Well, we'll give it a minute. There's only 20 votes.
Craig Wright created Monk.
He probably claims he did based on the list that I read.
Yeah, that should be a poll. Should I buy Bonk? Guys, Core. Do you think Core will perform well in a bull run? That's a great little question.
Core Scientific?
Yes.
I continue to say that Core Scientific is still a very confusing situation. So the people that, went through the whole bankruptcy, held it, got the conversion, it was not a straight up conversion. You got stock, you got warrants, and there's a lot of stuff out there that's impacting the price of the stock for Core Scientific. So I'll answer one question. I think Core Scientific's going to have a great 2024 as a company. I think the company is going to perform well. It seems like they've got a lot of good things going. Their monthly operational report I thought was positive. I have no expectations for that stock. I think they've made it, even if just for no other reason than they've made it confusing enough for a lot of people. There's variables with these layers of warrants, and so I think it's going to be a while before that settles in and finds its footing. Once it does that, once we get a quarterly report from them, and so for me, it's going to be 3, 4, 5 months before I feel good about investing. Now, it's entirely possible that by then the stock's taken off and I missed the whole thing. And I'm okay with that. I would rather invest in, I have several companies that I have a very high level of conviction in. I understand thoroughly, as I've spent literally thousands of hours researching these stocks. So, for me personally, that gives me a high level of conviction in some other stocks. So why am I going to try to, take a risk on Core Scientific's stock? Again, I think the company's going to do well operationally. I don't know what's going to happen to the stock. I mean, obviously, none of us know what's going to happen to these stocks. It's the future, but in particular, there's more variables in this one than in the other ones, in my opinion.
So I will answer why he can't prove that he moved the coins off the wallet. Did you hear his answer on that, Tom?
Are we talking about this thing we weren't going to talk about?
No, we're not talking about the lawsuit. We're just talking about why he said he can't do it.
I saw 3 different quotes from him at 3 different times as to why he said he
Oh, he
won't
said
do
3
it.
different things?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
That's one of the issues with him. He keeps saying something and then they
So,
challenge it and then he says something
did you
else.
hear the one that he went into the hospital and then that one?
I didn't hear that one.
This one, to me, it was so funny. There's no way. So he went into the hospital. He came out. He was all loopy, and he was really mad because everybody, what Bitcoin was being used for. He felt that his thing was getting ruined, and he was just in a fit of rage. So he broke the hard drive that had that wallet information on it.
Well, isn't that convenient? So
And
unfortunately
then
for
he
him,
said
although he's
that no, but here's the interesting thing. He said that Bitboy Satoshi, that I can guarantee is not true. Um, and that's why that wallet will never ever ever have activity. He said because he broke it.
maybe
The
I
Paul has
broke it.
spoken.
Maybe
you
you
did.
broke it.
I did. I did break it. That would be funny if I was Satoshi, wouldn't it, guys? Why not Tom? See, you guys know better than Tom couldn't keep a secret like that.
I'm a vault. I could keep a secret. You can't
Okay,
keep a secret.
I gotta tell you guys something. Sorry. I think the CIA or something did it. I do too. I think it's something to do with those guys.
I think we're never. I think it's highly likely that we are going to never know which individual or group of people, was the pseudonym that is now Satoshi.
Can you see if we're having our 5 o'clock pump yet?
Well, we're at 51,980. So we've been as high today. Let's see. Our high on the day was this morning, just after. Oh, sorry. That was our high on the day yesterday. Our high on the day today was just before the market opened here in the US. We got up to $52,608. We are now just under 52,000. So we're hanging out. We've been above and below. For this stream, we did pop above 52, and now we've been, kind of above and below it for the last little bit. We'll see if we get our push here. Well, I'm not even bringing that one up.
Darren S. from today forward, Wolf is the best miner stock.
You want to do a poll? Which one's the best?
I guess we might as well. I'm doing it.
Maybe we'll do our quick round robin and see who wins the.
And
So
I'm
two brackets.
Oh, best return. Rate of return, ROI. Everybody knows that? Roy?
On your investment in the stock.
Right. Rate of return, ROR.
Thanks, Ross. Ross said Tom's not old enough. You're right. I appreciate it. Oh, somebody's saying Steve Jobs. I've heard there's a list. You guys probably know the list.
I'm not on the list anymore.
Potential.
I got off the list, just so you guys know. Are we looking for this year or for the next 3 years? What's our period of time?
What's our period of time?
Yeah, for rate of return on a stock.
Oh, for the year 2024. We're still only a month and a half in here. So you could either do 20. Yeah.
Well, going forward from today though, guys.
So because there's been a lot of price action already this year. So from this moment, how about from this moment to the peak of this bull cycle?
And
whenever that is.
The 4 biggest right now. Who's the 4th biggest? It's HUD, isn't it? I know it's CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot. Who's number 4?
CleanSpark, Marathon, Riot.
Who's the number 4? I thought it would be Hut. I think it is.
Let's take a look. Who am I forgetting?
Yeah, see, I agree, Barry. We'll never know what Sue whispered to Tom.
Cypher.
It was probably this. Barry, it was probably this. Sell.
Cypher's just under $1 billion.
It's Hut.
Let's go Cypher.
Why do you
Let's go
doubt me?
Hut. I should not, because Cypher's bigger than Hut for now. And to be fair, these numbers are not perfect. Right? I'm taking my shortcut on Yahoo Finance, and these numbers are not perfectly accurate, but they're usually in the ballpark. It looks like it might be Bitfarms. Did I forget one? But if you put all the biggest 4 in the same bracket, then there's no more brackets. That's it. Just these 4.
Do you want me to do somebody else besides Bitfarms then?
No, Bitfarms is the 4th biggest.
Okay. We'll do a round robin at the end. So we do 2 polls and then the third one. Hang on, I gotta step away for a second.
Oh, all right. So we got the poll up. Well, I like this poll because these are my 4 largest Bitcoin miner positions. And I will say, Marathon, although I did aggressively add to them in the last 100 days, they're not the size of the other 3 positions for me. My 3 big positions are really CleanSpark is now, just because of the run-up it's had, it's my biggest. Bitfarms run-up, we're going to take a look at this too. Bitfarms' return has been phenomenal. So that's my 2nd largest, and Riot is my 3rd largest, even though I've bought roughly the same amount of all 3 of those. You know, just based on performance, that's the order they're in. And then Marathon, and then I have some much smaller positions that don't compare to these 4. Oh, and I should say, you know, I have a position. This is not too many people seem to be interested in this. And if we look at their assets under management, BitX is a 2x leverage on Bitcoin. So they trade the futures, and it's on a daily basis, it's supposed to do double whatever Bitcoin does. Now on these small days, you know, it's hard to tell, but on the larger moving days, you will see this does roughly do double. But there's almost nobody in this. And I do have a pretty decent position in this. So I feel like, you know, it's, even though it's a leveraged play, it's a 2x leverage, I view this as less volatile and lower risk than the Bitcoin miners. Now, lower risk equals lower reward as well. But one of my strategies is, as we go up here, and I'm still not at the point where I'm ready to sell my Bitcoin miners, but I'm going to move them into several different things. I may, you know, migrate them into the ETFs, but I may keep this position. You know, for as long as I'm bullish on Bitcoin, I might as well be 2x bullish. Now, that won't be forever. I do think we're going to have, although I think the cycles will be less. I think the future cycles, including this one, will be less volatile going forward. So I don't think we're going to have these 80% pullbacks, and I could be wrong. I will tell you, in the last cycle, I didn't think we were going to have the full-blown crypto winter, and I was dead wrong on that. We did. In fact, by some measures, this crypto winter was worse than the previous crypto winters. And, you know, we were, versus the 200-week moving average, this last crypto winter was the first time we ever, you know, spent a significant period of time under the 200-week moving average. So, you know, that means we're under the 4-year average. We're under the previous. So that was brutal. Darren S., my statement was clear from today forward, so any past gains do not count. Right. This is all right. Right. So George said this year, but yes, from today forward, right? Because we can't invest yesterday. So this if you're voting, it's, if you're going to buy one on, the next day they're available to trade in the US, the equity markets will be closed on Monday. I'm guessing all the Canadian, and I don't know this, I didn't look to see if it's a holiday. I don't know why it would be. I'm guessing the Canadian miners will be available to trade on the Toronto exchange.
Oh, a runaway from CleanSpark. What did Darren say?
That really surprises me. Even though it is my biggest position.
I agree, Darren. I understand what your statement was going forward. We're gonna do them next. But I think going forward, I still think there's a lot of upside on CleanSpark, don't you, Tom?
I do. I think there's a lot of upside on CleanSpark. I don't know that I would pick them as the one with the most upside. It is my largest position, but that is mostly a function of the fact that it's run up. Let's look at some of these charts while we're doing this to give people a concept of what we're talking about. So if you look at Riot, I'm measuring from a couple of different points in time for me personally as I'm looking at these. All the Bitcoin miners hit a local high in late December, most of them on December 27th, some of them within one day of that. All the Bitcoin miners also hit a local high somewhere on July 13th or July 14th. So those were two peaks. So I'm looking at those two numbers. And then the next one, you go all the way back. Bitcoin ran up. Bitcoin hit 48,000 on March 28th, 2022. All the Bitcoin miners hit their high for the year 2022 on that day. They all went down dramatically after that. So those are the 3 points I'm looking at. So as you measure versus those 3 points, if you look at the ones we're talking about, you'll see Riot is right here. It's not even back to where it was in December. It's not back to where it was last July. And it's not back to where it was when Bitcoin was at 48,000 in 2022. And to put it in perspective, from the highest of these three numbers, and it's not the same company by company, but to the highest of these three numbers, Riot needs to have a 44% move to the upside to get back to where they were when Bitcoin was at $48,000 2 years ago. So that's Riot. So if we look at all four of these, Marathon's in a different situation. Marathon's taken out its summer highs by a mile. So Marathon, since this summer, Marathon and Riot went their separate ways. Riot had a bigger market cap than Marathon on July 14th, and for most of the time in the middle, but somewhere September, October, Marathon passed Riot. It is now not even close. It could be years or never that Riot catch. I would, if we did a poll, I would guess 95 to 99% of you would say Riot will never catch Marathon in market cap. I don't think they will, but the future's a long time. In any event,
Sebastian, hang on a second. Sebastian, hey, thanks for watching. I just gave you a shout out and said I agree with you with your assessments on Marathon, Riot, and CleanSpark of being some of the most secure Bitcoin miners out there. So thank you for watching. We really appreciate that.
Yes,
hope you're doing well.
Yeah, welcome, Sebastian. Thanks for joining, and thanks for all your streams. And
it might not even be the real one. He might be a spoof.
No, that's the real Sebastian. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
and thanks for being one of the very few of us that are following these Bitcoin miners and trying to keep people informed and grow this space. So much appreciated, and thanks for joining us.
You're gonna have to pick the next four, Tom. Please finish up voting. I'm gonna close in any second now.
So for Marathon, they need to move up 21% to get back to where they were back in March of 2022. So they've taken out their highs from the summer of 2023. They're still a little under where they were in just back on December 27th. So 15% move to the upside. And you're going to see why I'm doing this, because we just looked at Riot and Marathon. They haven't hit at least two of these three price targets. If I go to Bitfarms next, and I'm saving the best for last, if I go to Bitfarms next, right? So March of 2022, they're nowhere near. But this was their summer high. So Bitfarms is now up from their July highs. They're up 67%. And now today, so with the move up today, 3.74%, they are now above where they were on December 27th, which was their high of the year for 2023. And so, you know, that's pretty close to a 2-year high. So they have taken out 2 of these 3 lines. Then if we go to CleanSpark, which was the 4th one on that list, you'll see they've taken out all of these lines. In addition to that, let me take one moment. Kevin K, don't forget to please smash the like button. Oh, thanks, Kevin. Yes, much appreciated. Everybody, if you could smash the like button.
I didn't even do it, guys.
George.
Tom, give me 4 miners. 4 Bitcoin miners.
Oh, the next 4? Okay, how about, I know a lot of people like TerraWolf.
Okay.
How about TerraWolf, Cypher, Iris Energy, and I'm debating between Hut and Core Scientific.
Iris Energy. I don't know that one.
Oh, sorry. My mistake. Iron. And
then you want Core?
Let's go Hut.
Hut?
Mix it up. Come on. You know we did this.
Okay.
People are
and then
people want to know.
So then we'll take the top 2 from the first one, and then these top 2 from this one, and do a third poll, and that would be considered the round robin poll. Sorry.
So what CleanSpark has done, it's destroyed its July highs. This was its December high. It is now right now, and this green line here was its high from March of 2022. So it's up 32% above where it was in December. None of the other ones are even back to where they were. And it's now up to this purple line, which goes back to this arbitrary date on November 21st. This is 2 weeks after Bitcoin hit its all-time high. So, I mean, CleanSpark's getting close to its peak from the previous cycle, which is not its all-time high. And I think that was at 26. We just scroll up here. Do I not even have that line on here? Oh, it's at 23. $23.60. So you can see prior to that, in the bubble, in the small cap high growth bubble, when this was just not even really a Bitcoin miner, they were doing their microgrids in January 2021. And yes, technically, for those of you who remember, they were about a month and a half into mining Bitcoin. They had mined like 15 or 20 Bitcoin or something like that. So they were at $40 back then, $42. So I'm not counting that. I'm calling their high from the previous bull market where they were, in November of 2021 when Bitcoin hit its all-time high. So they're approaching this number. I mean, that's only a 30% move to the upside. That could happen. One good week and CleanSpark could take out their highs from when Bitcoin was at its all-time high. No other Bitcoin miner is even close to performing at this level from a stock performance standpoint. And that's why I was surprised that people think there's still the most upside in CleanSpark when they've already run so far out ahead of everybody else, over the last month. And maybe you guys are all right. I'm not getting rid of my CleanSpark.
What was your vote on those 4, by the way?
On that past 4?
Yes.
I'm real. I don't want to be wishy-washy, so I'll make a pick. I think Marathon. And then if I would say, if I had to put those 4 in order, CleanSpark might be in 4th place for me, even though it's an ultra high conviction play for me. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying.
Just so you know, mine is Riot. Just so you guys know, mine's Riot.
And I think that's fair, right? Riot has underperformed. If they start to perform operationally, their stock's going to take off, in my opinion. But it's a little bit of a wait and see situation.
Did you return their phone calls from Jason or no?
No.
Did you make a phone call to Jason?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up again. Are you there, George?
Sebastian, call Jason and get an interview with him, would you please? Maybe he can say something to you that can tell us why he's tanking the ship.
I don't
Plug
think
the
he's
hole.
tanking the ship. I think that they are underperforming. I think actually January, compared to their peers, was a step in the right direction. It was just hard to tell because everybody had such an awful month. You know, it was hard to notice that they're catching up a little bit, but not the move we're looking for them to do. We want to see them start to get more in line from a productivity standpoint, an efficiency standpoint with their exahash than the rest of the Bitcoin miners.
So most of my money's in Marathon though. My second is Riot, and my third now is CleanSpark. And I regret that decision that I moved it. I was just like, I just can't believe it keeps going the way it is, but it has been. But you only have so much powder, so
That's the thing, right? We all can't have an infinite amount of everything. So,
right.
all we can do is and a part of it is, you're for especially for those of us dollar cost averaging in, it's hard to just pivot on a day and all of a sudden switch. I'm not going to abandon my investment thesis that I've had for years just because, this month I feel this certain way in the short term. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. For those of you who swing trade, that's exactly how you should do it, right? If you're swing trading, you want to know what do you think is going to happen in the next few weeks, the next few months, right? And if you see somebody lagging and you think there's an opportunity, and I do, so I will say, I do that with options on a small scale. I'm not going to tip my portfolio that way, but with options on a small scale, if I see opportunities, I typically have some options open. I did, with this giant run up, I've sold every option I have. So I have nothing left. And yet I'm bullish and I think we're going to continue to run. So I'm not going to kick myself. This time around, I made money on those. There's been, trust me, there have been other times where my options just went, to zero or I had to stop out with a loss. So
Look at this. So Iris, they're almost all tied. It's 26, 28, and 30.
Oh, wow.
And then no one cares about HUT.
Well, there you go. There's our answer. I think
Yeah.
we should take. Wow, these are pretty close.
I know, aren't they?
But Iris is winning.
So please vote.
Let me look at the results of the last
poll.
So CleanSpark was a big time winner. And then Marathon and Bitfarms were almost tied.
Look at Riot was number 7. I was only had 7%.
I'm surprised at that too.
Well, it's marketing. I mean, they just haven't done a good job selling their company anymore. You know what I mean?
They haven't, and they have underperformed. But
I think he's playing poker again.
They're, maybe that's right. He could be at the how close is he to the probably Biloxi is his closest. Yeah.
Okay, vote. It's free to vote.
I think we should take 3 from the last group plus Iris.
So just take, what do you mean, this last group?
From the first group. Because to me, I would rather see CleanSpark versus Marathon versus Bitfarms versus Iris.
So you want CleanSpark, Mara, Riot. No, Riot's not even going to place.
No, Riot's out. But Marathon and Bitfarms were,
And then Bitfarm. So you want Bitfarm, Iris, Marathon, and CleanSpark. That's right. What you're thinking?
So Iris, this was the second tier, and they won. So they get to move into the winner's circle. And let's see what people think on that.
You know our crew. They're going to start voting more for Wolf just to mess with us so they can get it tied. They're going to do it. They always do. That's like, let's screw with these guys. Let's just have fun.
Hey, that's what we're here for, right? Can't have some fun along the way.
Please look at Bitcoin. Let's see how I'm doing. If my
Oh,
5 o'clock pump is here, baby.
we're over 52,000, 52,019. We got a
Oh,
long weekend of watching
yeah.
Bitcoin. So for
There's
those of
no
you in the
football or
U.S.,
anything.
yeah, no more football. 3 days of no equity trading, so you can be like
That's a
George
good.
and trade
I'm
cryptocurrencies.
I'm gonna do the poll. I'm gonna change the poll. But Tom, there's a real quick question for you to answer.
Yeah,
Money said, do you guys think all miners will be in trouble after the halving?
I do not think that at all. I think that there are a substantial number of Bitcoin miners that are going to thrive after the halving. I have said I'm a year into saying I think there's going to be winners and losers, and I think it's I think it's starting to be a lot more clear who are the potential winners are and who the potential losers are. There still is a group in the middle that could go either way. So that group, there's that group in the middle. I'm going to throw one out there in my opinion. So, in my opinion, Hive is in that middle group. I am not worried about Hive at all, but I don't know that they're going to thrive after the halving. I think it's going to be a lot more Bitcoin price dependent. What happens to the hash rate? How do they continue to execute? So Hive has a strong balance sheet. They have a nice hodl position, but I don't have them in that elite group that I have a high level of conviction in that I think is going to thrive after the halving. And then there's the group that I think, needs help beyond what I understand. I don't know how they get from A to B to thrive after the halving. Some of them, I don't even know how they're going to survive after the halving. I do think, and you're hearing most of the big companies, particularly Marathon and CleanSpark, have talked about, Marathon more so than any, have talked about some consolidation in this space, some acquisitions, be it through buying the company. I think there'll be a lot less of that. I think there'll be more buying pieces of companies, which CleanSpark's already done, right? Remember, CleanSpark bought that Mawson facility maybe a year ago, and I think there's going to be a bunch more of that. Acquiring these companies, I don't think is going to make sense because the companies themselves, I don't think are going to be good investments. But the assets that they have, some of these companies, some of their part of their survival strategy may be to sell off some of their assets. Some of their assets may get liquidated in Chapter 11 or beyond. So we'll see.
These are interesting. Guys think that people are really going to buy. Somebody said maybe Apple buy Mara. I don't think that'll happen.
I don't see any of the
Watch for
gigantic
CleanSpark
companies
to buy Mawson. What do you think about that one?
I
I
think
think they just let it go bankrupt and buy their assets.
Yeah, and they've already
Yeah,
done that
yeah.
one time. They have a nice
I think
facility.
there's no reason to buy them.
Right. Why buy a failing company? There's a
Right.
reason that they're, I hate to say failing, but some of these companies aren't going to make it, in my
Wow.
opinion.
I went out on a limb, and it's number 2. I picked Bitfarms, just so you know. I'm all over the place.
This is wild. I feel like our people are all over the place. Yeah, let's let it play out. Let's feel free to vote. Voting is free.
Tom, you doing anything this weekend?
Me?
Yeah.
You're looking at it.
Are we gonna do another stream?
I don't know that I'm going to do another stream, but I spend the weekends doing my research and putting some videos together. We lagged a little bit last week on video output. We did some extra streams, so there's some videos I want to catch up on.
You should reach out, Sebastian. What Tom's not good at this. Like, just so you guys know, Tom never, ever returns a phone call. Just it doesn't even matter. Don't call him. He won't return it. So if you send him an email, it's even 1,000 times worse. But with that being said,
that's selective. Selectively, I've kept in touch with certain
Sue,
people.
Did you hear me?
I heard you.
Sue.
We've kept in touch with.
Have you heard anything more from Sue or no?
No, I haven't.
Really? Radio silence, huh? Did she drop the charges for stalking or?
If it's watching Bill's Super Bowl highlights. Unfortunately, there aren't any of those.
He never does that, Crypto. He said stop by the conference at noon tomorrow for a nooner.
I have not been on a conference. I should
They're
do
fun.
that.
It's really fun, actually.
Yeah.
Guys, you should become a member just for those calls. I'm telling you right now. It's a lot of fun.
Remind me, George, because I get caught up, but
it's just fun. And what is great, it's really you guys taking over more than me. I don't, you don't even really listen to me anyway, so. But anyways, it's real interesting to hear everybody's thoughts and everything. The only thing I've always said, and I mean, I'm starting to lose that it's going to happen, and that is that there's going to be a big pullback before the halving. There's always been, there's always been a pullback before the halving, right, Tom?
No, let's take a look at that a little bit. That's actually, I want to go 2 cycles back if I could. We were going to look at some stuff that we didn't get to. Go back in time. The old-fashioned way. I'm just going to scroll back.
Well, you know what? We haven't even talked about it. What is up with Hive? Have they just disappeared?
No, Hive, I did a members-only video on Hive. They have made a series of moves. Now, they're not gargantuan moves. They're not the big, splashy moves that, we've seen CleanSpark and Riot and, Bitfarms. They made a move that, changed their entire business. It was by far the biggest purchase they'd ever made. But Hive has made a series of smaller moves. And that's why I say I put them in that middle territory, because they have made some moves. And, so I think it's just going to depend on how they execute on those and how Bitcoin does. This doesn't look as vicious as it is, but if you look, so this was, was this the halving? May of 2020, I believe, was the halving. I don't know what this green line is. Random green line. Oh, I know what this green line was. So I wanted to show people. A lot of people think, man, after the halving, the exahash rate's going to crash. Everybody's going to have to turn all their machines off. The global hash rate's going to go way down. Look how fast these things recover. So at the halving last time in May of 2020, the global exahash was 115 exahash. By July, 2 months later, it was just under 124. So within 2 months, the global hash rate was higher than it was at the halving. So this expectation that there's going to be, and I've heard 3 CEOs say they're expecting a 20% or more pullback. And I just think they need to consider the fact that that's actually not what's ever happened before. This right here is typical. In fact, in the previous halvings, it was an even shorter period of time before the global hash rate got back to where it was at the halving. So yes, there was a momentary anywhere from 1 week to 2 month pullback. And you can see this wasn't even really a pullback. Well, this is the price of Bitcoin. The pullback in the global hash rate was very small and it recovered very quickly. And that has happened every single time. And the reason I think it's going to happen again is we've already seen the plans that just the publicly traded miners have. They're all planning on having significant growth in the year 2024. So, yeah, a lot of these old machines are going to come off of line. So, if you talk number of machines, but those machines don't have near the computing power of these new machines. So, I think I think you could say with a fairly high level of confidence that within 2 months and probably much faster than that, the global hash rate will be back to where it was at the halving, if not higher. So that's my sense of this. You know, anything can happen, but in all the previous halvings, we've gotten right back to, you know, an increasing global hash rate, an increasing difficulty level. So particularly, I'll tell you, Iris Energy, and not in this press release that they just put out, but in their last investor presentation, they were counting on, you know, they were doing the math based on the global hash rate, I think at like 380 exahash. And, you know, it's over 600 today. So I think there's every reason to believe that it will be even higher than that 6 months from now. That's something to bear in mind. And that's why I say these companies really need to keep up, because I do think that the difficulty level is just going to keep growing and growing. The halving's going to cut the reward in half. Now, you know, the math is going to be not quite half because the fees don't get cut in half. And in fact, there's every chance we'll get some months like we did twice in 2023 where the fees skyrocketed. That made a big, big difference for these Bitcoin miners. So, you know, there's a lot of other variables. But what I came back here to show you was, right, we were let's even go forward in time. In October of 2020, we were somewhere around 10,500. Right, this was many months after the halving. Remember, we're before the halving right now. So if you look at this halving, again, you have this giant drop off here, but this is March of 2020. So remember, we have to discount these months right here from February to May, June of 2020. You know, the world was not functioning properly. And, you know, all the markets had a black swan type of a situation. Bitcoin got down to under 4,000, it looks like on this chart. But forgetting that, the period that I think is important to look at, if you go from October of 2020 to January 9th, so this is just a few days over 3 months. This is a 300% move to the upside, or essentially a quadruple, right? We went from 10,500 to just under 42,000 in 3 months. So this is how fast this can take off when we get these moves. And it's really, this feels more like what's going on to me right now. And I'm not suggesting we're going to pull a 4x in 3 months, but I do think, you know, to get to the all-time high before the halving, I think there's a really strong chance. That's a tiny move compared to what what you can see when Bitcoin does its thing. When Bitcoin runs, it runs, right? And this halving was the smallest moves out of any of the halving cycles. And look how gigantic this move was. So I do think there's that's why I'm so bullish in 2024 and 2025. And again, inside the framework that, yes, are we going to get 20% pullbacks, maybe 25, 30% pullbacks? Here, I should go right back there, because conversely, I just want to remind everybody, and this is where a lot of people lose money because they sell. I don't want to say it's panic sell. I mean, to some extent, with these moves, I mean, Bitcoin got to $64,000, right, in April. This pullback from April to June, that's a 55% pullback. I mean, that's in the equity markets, you know, that's a once in a generation event. Now, in cryptocurrency, this is just how it goes. But that's tough to stomach. I mean, can you imagine if that's what was next right now? How many people would get washed out between now and the halving if we had one of these deals? I don't think we're going to have that, but I don't know. And I'd just like to show these to remind people the moves to the upside can go way beyond your expectations. But in the middle, these moves to the downside even look on the way up to 64,000. There's a 30% pullback, right? That's it. That was in a month. That's a 30% pullback. That's a 26% pullback. Under 20% on that one, but and then, 27%, and that's on the way to this 55%. So things can get extremely volatile. I do think this will be a little less volatile this time around due to the buying pressure from the ETFs, but it's always good. If nothing else, I did that myself just to really revisit and remind myself, like, man, I got to remember as I'm investing, we could get these 20%, 30% pullbacks. And it's not like it would be out of the blue. As bullish as I am right now, if you look at the daily RSI, I mean, we're at 81 right now. So we're 3 days in a row over 80 on the RSI. I mean, that by any measure, I think for Bitcoin, I always consider 80 more so than 70 overbought on the daily RSI. But, most people talk about 70. But even if you use 80, we're now 3 days in a row over that. Even with all of this, I think there's so many other things, non-technical things that are happening. I still think the next move is upside, but would you be surprised if there was a pullback from where we sit right here?
No, I wouldn't be. Marathon and Cleanspark tied for 30 apiece.
Marathon and Cleanspark.
And then look at how close the other ones are. Bitfarms was 24, and Iris, which will always be Iris to me, it was 14.
That's why I wanted to pull 3 out of the winner's bracket. I had a feeling all 4 of those in the second group, even though that's the next 4, weren't going to be able to compete with the top 3 that we had there. But wow, so we have a tie, Cleanspark and Marathon. I mean, hard to argue that. And I do think there's still massive amounts of upside to Bitfarms as well, and Iris.
I got to sneak out, but what is Bitcoin at before I leave?
Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up as well.
We got the 5 o'clock pump. I feel it. What is it?
We're at $52,000 and call it $52,040.
I'm going to take it.
It's over 52,000. I'll tell you guys this. If you look at, let's just finish on the 1 day and then I'll get out with you, George. I think if we stay, I've got a purple line at just under 52,000. I do not think we need to hold 52,000. I think if we stay above 50 or really above 51,000, I think if we can close our weekly candle above 51,000, then I think the next move is to the upside again. So this run we've been talking about to 55,000. We've been talking about 55,000 now since we've had this breakout. I think it would be very bullish if we could close above 51,000 on the weekly candle. Even 50,000 would be very strong performance. So, right, if we look at the weekly candles, last weekly candle closed at 48-ish. So if this week we closed at 50, that'd be a strong week. 51 even better, 52 obviously even better still. So that's my goal for the 3-day weekend. We'll see what happens. Any parting thoughts, George?
Yeah. Was Hive did Hive post a profit? I'm going to go with that.
You're fading into the dark. You're slipping away.
Did you hear me? Did Hive post a profit?
Not from Gap, but
no, not for Gap. Okay.
I think they were positive EBITDA.
Okay.
And
fastest 2 hours on YouTube. I know, it's crazy how fast it goes by. We'll see you guys.
Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks so much for showing up. Thanks again. Special thanks to the members. Thanks everybody for smashing the like button. I hope you guys enjoy. For those of you in the US, if you have a long weekend, enjoy. For everyone around the world, enjoy your weekend either way. Thanks so much. And you can check out the videos over the weekend. We'll have our members only live stream on Tuesday. And if anything exciting happens, we will come to you live. Thanks again. Everybody have a fantastic weekend.